Alright, if you watch the previous videos on curve sketching, I went through and I just actually plotted a bunch of points to graph the graphs, mentioning each time, well, you should remember how they look, because you're going to have to be able to sketch them. And here's some practical curve sketching techniques. I put three of your functions up there: y equals x squared, y equals the square root of x, and y equals 1 over x. Those are three you should know, be very, very familiar with. And then I've written a variation here, y equals x squared plus 1. Now what does this 1 do? Well, when we put x in it, it graphs x squared, but every time it adds 1. So it has the effect of raising the whole thing up 1 unit. So if this is 1, then we can just sketch this like this. Well, let's get it a little better. Looks like that. Is that dark enough? I hope that's dark enough. It goes on like that forever, like that forever. Notice I didn't really plot any points. I mean, you could say I plotted the y-intercept there at 1, but basically I just sketched it. And that's kind of the way you do it. Now, let's take another example really quickly about this vertical translation. Suppose I had y equals 1 over x minus 3. Well, that would take our 1 over x function, which we know to look like this. It looks like this, right? And like this. And it would lower it down 3 units. 1, 2, 3. And one of the things you can do is you can just say, I'm lowering the x-axis down 3 units. I can call this x hat. See, I wrote a dot, did a dotted line there. And what it did is it took the function, which is normally right here, and it brought it right down 3 units. So it'll look like this. Notice again, I'm not really plotting any points. I've lowered it down 3 units, like that. And I put a dotted line fake x-axis here, like that. And that I could have done that on the x squared too. If you bring them up or bring them down, it's like taking the x-axis, bringing it up, or bringing it down. Now here's another thing that can happen. We can put, I mean, what we just did really is we took y equals function of x, the function that we have, plus h, and we added h, which could be a positive or a negative number. Another thing we can do is this. I can go negative f of x. And when you put an outside negative on it like that, it tips the function upside down. So if I have y, I'll just start back up here, y equals negative square root of x, then the square root function, which normally goes like this, is now upside down and goes like this. It's getting lower and lower. Slowly, but it's going down like that instead of going up like that. Okay. Well, if we can have a vertical translation and a negative in front, we can also have a horizontal translation. And the interesting thing about the horizontal translation is that it moves in the opposite direction of the sign. Y equals, say, x plus 3 squared. It's also inside the function. Notice it's not x squared plus 3. It is x plus 3 squared. That means when we go, it's really just something in here squared, but in this case, when we put the x in, we add 3 points to it. So we're going to get a graph that happens 3 points up the road, only we're going to have it happen back here. So the plus is going to bring the thing back in the other direction. So you go in the opposite direction of the sign. I hope this is visible here. Let me take a quick check. It's visible. And I didn't make this line very straight, did I? And what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3. Not forward. See, plus you go in the opposite direction of the sign. It's x squared, right? So it's as though I move the y-axis this time. This axis here, y-axis, I'll call this y hat. And it's as though I move the y-axis over and it looks like this. Notice again, I'm just sketching it. I'm not plotting any points. That's the essence of curve sketching.